right, let's go to Mr. David Vardy. He's on line one, former long-term senior civil servant, and has made much commentary on Muskrat Falls and Nalcor, all things tied to it. Good day, sir.
Good day, Pete. How are you today?
I'm very good. I guess you were glued to the AGM, and also I saw the article that yourself and Ron Penny wrote to the PUB asking them to help fix hydro.
Yes, yes, indeed. I wanted to speak to you mainly about the AGM yesterday. I had some comments on some exchanges that took place there, and I guess I wanted to say at the outset that I've been watching this project with some concern ever since it began, and going back to 2010. And if you look at the cost estimates that we've been dealing with over the last 5 years, they started it out for Muskrat Falls, $5 billion. That was the original cost, not including financing, not including interest during construction.
Right.
Now we're up to $8.3 billion. It's a 40% increase. It went up to $7 million from 5 to 7,
right.
And then you add that was a 40% increase, and then you add the allowance for funds used during construction, which we used to call interest during construction. That brings it up to $8.3.
And why wouldn't you include that? I mean, obviously you have to include that's a cost.
It's a cost, absolutely. Yep. No reason why it shouldn't be included.
Right.
But in any event, the question now relates to the Astaldi contract. And the Oversight Committee came out with a report a few weeks ago, and they looked at the progress during the fourth quarter of 2014. And they concluded that the productivity during that period was slipping. They had major slippage in progress that was made, and they made only less than 40% of the progress that was expected to be made in the fourth quarter. So the question really was posed as to what are the penalties for Astaldi, and what's the likelihood of getting this project back on schedule.
Well, the assertion by Nalcor is that this is a fixed contract, so that any costs beyond what they're scheduled to be paid is on them.
Well, it comes down to the question of, what is a fixed price contract? Because that was exactly my question yesterday to Mr. Ed Martin, is I asked, what is a fixed price contract, and is the contract with Astaldi fixed price? Well, his definition of fixed price is different from mine, because my definition of fixed price is it's an all-in cost, and there's no variation. He's calling that a lump sum project. A lump sum price or a contract. And so for him, a fixed price contract is one where certain parameters are fixed, such as the wage rates and the volumes, cost per volume of material, cost per cubic feet of concrete.
And per unit as well for these towers and whatnot. The
unit costs. And there are indeed milestones that must be achieved. But there's an awful lot of variation, because the quantum of labor, the number of person hours, and the volume of material that's used can be subject to great variation. So
he's saying that the bottom line can change. Fixed price does not mean that the bottom line can't change. Right. Okay.
That's right. And I sense that there is concern, that his response expressed concern with the delay in the project and the fact that they're going to have to make it up. And he was hopeful that they will make it up, because he said the productivity on site to actually make concrete is high, and they can accelerate the production of concrete, and they can come back on schedule. But as of this point in time, they are slipping. The schedule is slipping, and one of the things that comes out of the Oversight Committee report is that the schedules are changing, constantly changing.
Right.
They're changing the baseline. So
but the expenditure of money seems to be pretty solid.
Oh, that's right. And so the latest schedule is the schedule of July 2014. That's what we're working on now. Now that's already allowing a fair bit of slippage, but we're seeing a lot of slippage in the fall of 2014. So my concern is that this project is likely to go considerably above $8.3 billion in total. And I think that people of this province need to be aware of this. This is the largest project we've ever undertaken. It's a high-risk project.
But Mr. Vardy, does it matter? Because they've said regardless of where we are and what's going on, we have to keep going now. There's no going back.
That's the other thing. Now, this is a question that was raised by Mr. Martin. The question about, well, hasn't the environment
raised by Cabot Martin?
Cabot Martin. Right. Cabot Martin raised the question of, well, you know, haven't the circumstances changed? Hasn't the world changed? Well, you know, in my view, the world has changed quite fundamentally, and all of the changes that have taken place, most of the changes that have taken place have been detrimental to the project. Certainly, interest rates have been beneficial. We've benefited by low interest rates, although, you know, the interest rates are still low. But the fact of the matter is the energy environment has changed. The opportunity cost of energy has fallen.
Canadian dollar has changed.
Canadian dollars have changed. That's a big issue. A lot of changes have taken place. So it would seem to me that it would be appropriate for the board of directors of Nalcor to be monitoring these changes and to determine whether a decision that they took 2 years ago remains a wise decision.
Well, yes, but doesn't it always come back to the province? Isn't the provincial government really the ones that in the end have to say, hang on now, time to step back, take a breather, do the full review, and before we, you know, make another step?
Well, that's true, Pete, but in this particular environment, the province is relying very heavily on Nalcor.
Yep. And
so what Cabot Martin asked yesterday was, you know, what's your assessment on the marketplace? And so Ed Martin gave his forecast of long-term oil prices, and, of course, his forecast differs rather drastically from Cabot's, and one has to decide between the two, you know, but the fundamental question is whether the shale gas revolution is just a blip on the long-term time series, or whether it represents a fundamental change.
Yeah, I think the answer's in on that one.
Cabot's view is that it's a fundamental change, and I think most of the pundits are on that side of the equation. So, because what we're looking at today, what we're witnessing is the shale gas revolution in the United States of America, but it's an international revolution, and it's just now starting to spread to Europe, to China, to various other places. So it's going to impact on the price of oil.
Yeah.
But so it seems to me that we have to be, it causes me great concern to hear that we're not into navel gazing. The chairman of the board tells us that we're not into navel gazing. We're not into being introspective or retrospective. We're only looking at the fact that we've started this project and we're going to continue it come hell or high water.
Mr. Vardy, I'm afraid I got to leave it there. I'm way over time. I think my producer is about to levitate from the flapping of the arms, so we've got to go. But listen, maybe we can pick it up next week.
Okay,
obviously, lots more to say on that. Yeah. Okay.
Let's do that. Okay, Pete.
Appreciate
Bye.
it. Have a good weekend.